Hello everybody, this is those couple of moments when I'm not sure whether it's working or not. It seems to say it is. Hello everybody, welcome again to one of our Thursday webinars in the TEFL Development Hub. And this afternoon we're joined by the fantastic, amazing Romina Muse, and she's going to be talking to us in a minute about stories to transform challenging behaviour. A couple of things before we start. Don't forget, if you're watching this later, leave us a little hashtag catch up, just so we know who's around. And also a couple of things to remind you about the website. If you want to, you can check out the calendar page where we list our upcoming events. And there's also an interactive calendar so that people can add other events from different TESOL organizations, other webinars that are happening. That's a Padlet on the same page. So do feel free to add any events that you know of which are coming up. And also on the members page, so it's the Who's in the Hub page, you can leave us a little pin to let us know where you are in the world if you'd like to. And another just a quick reminder about the events that we run. So on Thursdays, we alternate between webinars and coffee breaks. And then on Tuesdays now, we have 4 different events alternating. So we have our Speakers Corner. We had our first event this Tuesday. It was great fun. Looking forward to the next one. We have a monthly management meetup for those who are working in academic management in ELT or those who are interested. Everyone's welcome to come along. We have focused forums where we choose a topic. The hub votes on a topic and then we chat about that for an hour. And then finally, we have our trainer talking time, which is coming up this Tuesday at 11 a.m. UTC. And we'll post all the links for all our live events so you can come along and join us. Okay, so as I say, today we're joined with Romina. She is a teacher and she's based in Argentina, in the capital, Buenos Aires. She's the founder of Dynamic English Center. And as you can see, she's hugely passionate about working with children, working with younger learners. She's certified in child neuropsychology. And as if that wasn't enough, she's also completing a postgraduate degree in English literature and film studies. So fingers in many things, Romina. Okay, whenever you're ready, I'll hand over to you.
Okay, thank you, Teresa. Thank you, Teresa, for inviting me. I'd like to thank also Simon Perlman from the TEFL Development Hub for opening the doors to transform challenging behavior. And I'd like to say thanks to all the hubbers out there in the world who, for some reason or other, I think they are connected to challenging behavior, and I guess they want to transform it and to see, to be able to intervene challenging behaviors. So are we ready to give a kick off to challenging behavior? I am so ready. So here we go. I'm going to show you these 2 pictures that I'm sure you're going to be related to. As you can see, there are children there in different scenarios, I would say. They look challenging, at least they look challenging to me. The 2 pictures where we can see the little girl pulling the hair, and we can also see in the other picture the boy who's a little bit isolated, withdrawn. There are some swings and this boy is like sitting there, like, you know, not wanting to go on the swing and have some fun. So why is that? Yeah. So the 2 pictures basically are showing what challenging behavior is. Yeah, challenging behavior refers to the actions and reactions and the functioning in response to everyday environments and situations. So basically, challenging behavior, I like to call it, I want to see if you can see this. This is kind of, I'm going to introduce you to ick. So, because challenging behavior, I guess it's rather ick. It's kind of icky, yeah? So I want you to picture an ick moment in your life, yeah? You educators, teachers, parents, hubbers. I want you to think about and picture an ick moment. I think that we can picture COVID-19 as an ick moment, something that is weighing us down. And so because it's very challenging, basically. So whenever we have this ick is going to be flip in. So kind of like the picture that you see there of the little boy who's kind of withdrawn, holding it inside, yeah? Or challenging behavior, ick can be, you know, bursting out, yeah, and be very, you know, wanting to show and everybody, yeah, to see how we are reacting, which is basically the picture that you see of the two little girls sitting on the bus, right? So the idea today is that we're going to couple flip, yes, these icky moments of flip, we're going to couple them with stories to see how we're going to be able to help our students manage and redirect their behavior in a non-aggressive, non-violent way, yeah? So what is flip then? Yeah, you know that the previous slide said that challenging behavior was a way of reacting, yeah? So behavior is reacting, but why is it that we react? We react to what we feel. So the F there, the acronym FLIP, the F is for feelings, yeah? So when a kid is crawling under the table around the classroom, or when a kid is hitting somebody, deep down there is a feeling that wants to come out, yeah, and is manifesting, and it manifests in a challenging way, basically, yeah. So I was forgetting, Dr. Rachel Wagner came across with this strategy. She was working with severe challenging behavior students, and so she coined this strategy that I am adapting it to use it with stories, yeah. So when a kid is having a challenging behavior, a challenging time, a tantrum, a meltdown, is hitting or pushing or pulling hair, there is a feeling that needs to be addressed. Maybe the child is angry, is bored, is upset, is frustrated. Yeah, so the best thing we can do as educator and as people, I would say more than educator, is to acknowledge and say, it's okay to feel angry. It's okay to feel sad. That's not a problem. Feelings make us who we are. So that's basically okay. So we acknowledge the feeling. Once the feeling has been acknowledged, we can move on to the second stage, which is to limit it. So we say basically, it's okay to feel angry, but it's not okay to pull hairs, you know? So we're not judging the feeling. What we are doing is giving an opinion on what the behavior is, yeah? So then the third stage we're moving on is gonna be inquiries. So we're going to ask our students to become curious about, what can you do with anger? We can ask them, yeah? So what can you do with anger? Let's think about other ways to express that we're angry, yeah? But we ask the students to think of different possibilities themselves. So we're giving the students the possibility, the ownership. So they feel they are empowered, they know, and they can do something about it. So once that stage is over, we move on to the last stage, the fourth stage, which is the prompts. So there we intervene as adults. So we get all those creative possibilities that the student has come up with. Instead of pulling hair, the student has given us different ways to manifest how angry they were. And so we say, all right, so we can sort of redirect and help them redirect, because maybe they say, okay, not pulling hair, so I'm going to stick my tongue out. And that's still not okay. So we give them prompts as adults. So this, Hubbers, I think this is wonderful, not only because we can apply this to stories, but because we can apply this for life. This is a life skill, yeah? So it goes beyond the level of stories, right? Okay, so now comes the time for the stories. And I'm going to ask Teresa, if you want to ask people in Facebook, what stories the pictures represent, if you're able to guess.
Sorry, couldn't find my unmute button for a second.
It's fine.
I'm sure some of these will be familiar. We'll give people a couple of seconds to pop their ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think I know them. I think I remember them from my childhood.
Yeah, that's great.
Claire says Goldilocks for one of them.
Yeah, totally. Goldilocks with the three, porridge. Yes, the 3 different sizes of a porridge. Yeah.
Yeah. Fiona, Claire. Oh, lots of people are replying Little Red Riding Hood.
Definitely. Yeah. The red hood. Yeah, the red cape.
Fantastic. And Fiona says Ugly Duckling.
Yeah, for sure. Yes. Yes. So it is Ugly Duckling, Little Red Riding Hood, and Goldilocks and the 3 Bears. Yeah. So as I was telling Teresa, these stories have, I mean, they took you probably into your childhood. So you remember the story because maybe you find the characters and the setting familiar. Yes, you can relate to some of the characters and to some of the setting. And in the story, there was a conflict. In the 3 stories, all stories present a conflict. Yeah. And the stories, most of the stories that are written for children come up with solutions. Yeah. So the idea today is that in the story, the students will definitely feel identified at some moment within the story, within the narrative. They will relate, yeah? And most important, they will be able to replicate maybe what happened in the story. They can replicate in their own lives, in their own different scenarios. So that's why I believe that stories work wonders on many different aspects, not only intellectual, for cognitive abilities, for building vocabulary, for teaching structures, yeah, but also for teaching emotional literacy, yeah. So I believe this is something I've written, so that the power in stories lies in the buttons that they push in ourselves. Yeah. So we're going to see what buttons, these different stories, I'm going to present you with 4 different stories to intervene challenging behavior in different ways, so that we can go back to flip, to remember the feelings, the limits, the inquiries, and the prompts, to see how this relates and how all this is interwoven within a story. So are we ready for the first story? The first story is going to be, I'm going to show it physically. This one is the color monster. And I have decided to start with the color monster because the color monster deals with feelings. Yeah. So remember the F for flip, for feelings. So this is a story in which feelings are going to be addressed. And not only the feeling is going to be addressed, but also what to do with the feeling. So how to manifest, how to express that feeling, that is to say what behavior can be, expressing that feeling. So here we go. Hope you like it. Dynamic with our new collection of stories. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you the color monster. So here we go. This is my friend, the color monster. All his feelings are mixed up. Hey, monster, look at you. You're a mess. All your emotions are mixed up. I'll tell you what to do. You can separate your feelings and put them in the corresponding jars. And this is happiness. When you're happy, you feel like dancing. This is sadness. When you're sad, you might want to cry or be alone. This is anger. When you're angry, you want to stomp your feet and shout, "Hey, that's not fair." This is fear. When you're scared, you might want to hide. This is calm. When you're calm, you breathe slowly, you feel at peace.
So now you see, this is anger, this is sadness, this is calm, this is happy, and this is fear. But wait, there's one feeling left. And that's the feeling of being loved. Bye-bye. Love you guys. Bye.
Okay, so that was the color monster. You love
That
it?
was lovely. And thank you for holding up the book at the same time, because
Yeah.
we checked it before it worked. The video didn't play.
Oh no. Okay,
So
then
we could hear the audio. But yeah, but you know how you showed me it was you, the video.
okay, so you could hear the audio, but you couldn't see the video streaming.
No, it's stuck on the original,
it was
the original
okay.
Color Monster title.
All right. So good that I did that. Then I'm gonna do it with the rest of the stories then. So well, basically the Color Monster was teaching the kids what to do when they are happy. It's kind of, this reminds me of the song, you know, when you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. So it's kind of, you know, it's like a revival of that song in a different shape. So what can you do with the feelings? So how can you teach feelings? Yeah. So I love to show them mirrors. Yeah. And so I give each of my students a mirror and we practice faces. Yeah. This is great because at times kids do not know what a limit face is when you say no. They get confused. And so this is also good for setting boundaries. Yeah. So basically the feeling goes for asking them to show and practice faces when they're happy, when they're sad, when they're calm, when they are angry, when they are scared. Yeah. And so then another activity I love to do from this story is the color tubes. I will show them to you. So the color tubes are tubes of toilet paper, you know, that I just paint them into different colors according to the story. And so you give each of your students one of these color tubes and you ask them to look through and you say, well, now you're happy. So look out there and see what it looks like when you're happy. Now you're angry and see how it looks like when you're angry. And so they will discover that no matter how they are feeling, the world is out there all the same. Yeah. So this is very reassuring that everything is there, that it's okay. So it's a validation of feelings and emotions. Another activity I do is to have separate tins or jars or boxes or bags.
One thing, Romina, are you changing the slides on your PowerPoint?
No, I didn't.
No, okay.
No.
I wasn't sure whether the problem was with the PowerPoint or not, but never mind.
Is it okay?
At the moment, yeah, we can see the color monster. That's
okay. Yeah. The only thing I am doing is I'm just putting these different prompts, you know, mirror, color tubes, jars or tins. Can you see that?
No, nothing's added.
Oh, that's really strange.
Maybe when we did the video, it froze the presentation.
It froze the presentation, maybe. So let's see, maybe I can, as I was telling you, if you give me a minute, I change the Wi-Fi connection. It might be that, I don't know. But
no problem.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do a quick fix.
In the meantime, if anybody has any ideas of stories that they've used as well in the classroom, if you want to pop them in the chat box. I know Fiona's here and she uses lots of stories, so she can give you lots of good ideas. But, you know, we've got lots of young learner teachers around, so do feel free to add your favorite stories into the chat. And then we can, you know, have a virtual library of everybody's ideas and see what comes out. Yeah, I've never heard of the Color Monster before. I don't know whether anybody else has, but it's a lovely story.
Just in case, I'm going to stop sharing.
Fantastic.
Yeah, maybe I can do that. Let me see. I want to go back to this and oops, I don't want to. There, I almost cancel everything. All right, let's give it a try. Yeah.
It's all right. There's always some tech problem, no matter how many times you practice.
Yeah, I got pretty scared, you know, when I just almost disappear. So let me just try things again. Can you see now my screen, Teresa?
Yeah, now we can see with the Cookie Monster and the mirrors.
Yeah.
Color tubes, fantastic.
Okay, so maybe you know what I'll do, just in case, I will just maybe avoid the telling of the stories. Okay.
Fantastic.
There we go. All right, so now
You might want to move the box of us again.
Yeah, here.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so we're back. All right, so technical issues. Well, the jars and the tins and the boxes and the bags. So where you can ask your students what they do, for example, when they are happy, how they express when they are happy, when they are angry, when they are sad, when they are calm, yeah, when they are scared. And so you have the different jars around the classroom. And so when you see that student is kind of, you know, going in the way that you don't want them to go, which is rather challenging or violent, you can redirect them and tell them, okay, I see you're angry, see you're very angry. Why don't you go check in the box, check in the tin and see what you can do instead of hitting or pushing, yeah, or shouting or screaming. Another activity I like to do is a feelings booklet. This one they love because you can have a feelings booklet, like a collaborative booklet in which everybody shows the faces, or you can have your students, each of them individually, like being the authors of their own feeling booklet. And so basically what they do is they're going to show, you know, what the faces look like when they are happy, or when they are sad, yeah, or when they are angry, yeah. And so they, you know, move around and you are acknowledging the way they are feeling, yeah. So going back to flip, we are at the feeling level, yeah, we're just feeling level. Maybe we just were able to set a boundary, yeah, and within these stories, yeah, basically with the jars and the tins, we were teaching kind of these inquiries, these prompts that can help students channel out the behavior in a healthy way. So I'm going to share now with you the different pictures that, well, these were taken, of course, before COVID, yeah. And so these are the little ones, for instance, sorting out the color balls in their corresponding monsters, yeah. And as you can also see, I think you're able to read wheel and mask, yeah. So the wheel and the masks are these, yeah. So I just made these masks, yeah, in which you can distribute to your students and say, okay, what face are you today? What monster are you today? Are you the in love monster today? Are you the calm, cool monster today? Yeah. So, and again, I want to address this over and over again. A validation of feelings is so important. Yeah. We can, one thing we tend to, I don't know, but at least in my country, what we tend to do with the feelings that are kind of, you know, like angry or frustration, or, you know, when students get enraged, we tend to want to ignore it or try to hide it. It's okay. It's okay to feel the way we feel. Yeah. The most important thing is to be able to know what to do with that feeling. And so another activity is the wheel. Yeah. So generally little children love to manipulate things. So this needle, yeah, that can go around the wheel and the monsters, filling in the different ways. You can play with your students and say, well, let's imagine today you're sad. Yeah, you can cry when you're sad, yeah, but maybe why not reading a book or listening to some music and dancing, yeah, and to help you overcome your sadness, yeah. All right, so the next story I won't play the story just in case everything goes, you know, gets frozen. So I'm going to skip this just in case. Let's do it the safe way, because maybe, so let's do it this way. So I skipped the story. So the story is when Sophie gets angry. Yeah. So this is a story to manage anger, basically. And so Sophie, our protagonist, is going to do different things with her anger. So Sophie was playing, you know, peacefully at home till her sister came and she grabbed Gorilla. And Sophia didn't want to let Gorilla go. And it was her sister's turn, but Sophie did not want to let Gorilla go. So she really got super, super angry. Yeah. Till she was so angry that she exploded, she banged, she hit, she called smithereens. So she became like a real volcano. And so when she erupted, let's put it that way, she started to run as fast as she could. She ran till she had no more energy. She started to cool down, to see the trees. She even climbed up a tree. She looked at the sea. And when she was ready, she climbed down and went back home. And so when she arrived home, she was able to appreciate, let's say, her family and enjoy all together a puzzle they were building. So this story is great because it acknowledges anger, which is a very difficult feeling. It's very difficult emotion because it manifests in a kind of, you know, abrupt way, in a violent and aggressive way. But deep down anger, as you can see there on the screen, the anger iceberg, there are many feelings that are hidden down there behind anger, feelings of embarrassment, of guilt, insecurity, helplessness, anxiety. Yeah. So I'd like to play a game, a little game with you. So I will read the story very quickly till the part where Sophie explodes. And as I read the story, as I go along the story, I want you, I don't know if you're sitting, if you have a table, I want you to tap your hand on the table. And as I read the story, you are going to tap louder and louder. So till you reach your loudest, yeah, when Sophie explodes, okay? So it can be tapping on the table, stomping feet on the floor, fisting on the table, yeah, whatever you want to do. Think of something that makes you angry so you can get really, really loud. So are you ready? Okay.
I'm ready.
So here we go. So Sophie was busy playing when her sister grabbed Gorilla. No, said Sophie. Yes, said her mother. It is her turn now, Sophie. As her sister snatched Gorilla away, Sophie fell over the truck. Oh, is Sophie ever angry now? She kicks, she screams, she wants to smash the world to smithereens. She roars a red, red roar. Sophie is a volcano ready to explode. So, what happened? I think I would love to do this in person, you know, but I think that you were not able to listen to me when you were stomping feet or tapping hands or with your fists on the table. So what I wanted to show you is how our system, how our reptilian brains shut off the system. And so we get into the mode of a fight or flight. So when our students are really angry, and when they are like, you know, experimenting this feeling that is building up like bubbles, you know, on a pot ready to boil, that's not the time to set a limit, to ask our students to inquire or to give them a prompt, because they will not listen, because they are not able to listen, not because they don't want to listen, but because they are not able to listen. So the only thing we can do there, when the student is in the middle of a crisis, the only thing, the way we have to respond is to look at the child in the eye and say, I see you're really angry. And you provide with a safety boundary, you know, so that the student do not hurt himself or herself or others. Yeah, but that's not the time to say, don't be angry, don't shout, don't kick, don't push. When you acknowledge the feeling, the kid immediately is going to stop the behavior. Yeah, but still the student is not ready to move on to the third stage or the fourth stage. When they have cooled down, yeah, when the sort of the reptilian brain is no longer in action, they can move on to the prefrontal cortex and the prefrontal lobe. And there is when their executive skills can take place. And so they can think straight and they can reason things out, and they come up with another strategies or alternatives to redirect their behaviors. So moving on, I'd like to present you. So Sophie got angry because she didn't want to share gorilla with her sister. So in the same way, you're going to ask them, is Sophie angry? For instance, does Sophie get angry if she has to share her lunchbox? Will she get angry if she has to give her seats to somebody else? So you're always speaking about Sophie, so that the students do not feel intimidated, because maybe when you ask someone, what makes you angry? Some people will be open, you know, and ready to share what makes them angry. Some other students will be very shy, you know, remember this, you flip in or you flip out, yeah? So to be on the safe side and to work with stories along, the idea is that Sophie, of course, is going to be themselves. When they say what can make Sophia angry is what makes them angry, but they will not be exposing themselves, yeah? So once you did that, you did your research, you searched around the class, you got, you know, you have their feedback on what makes Sophie angry, you know, Sophie angry. So you write down on a piece of paper, and so you give them a thermometer. And so they can picture that there are degrees in anger. So someone can be annoyed, irritated, angry, furious, and enraged. So you can go over the story again with your students, and they can see how anger built up in Sophie. And so coming back to their scenarios, you can say, well, I want you to color the thermometer how angry you feel when someone smashes your snack at snack time, or how angry you feel when a girl in the hall at school says, you little kids should go to kindergarten. Yeah. And so these are all the scenarios that you have collected from your own students. And so they can see how angry they get and what they can do with their anger. Yeah. You can make a classroom feel better poster or a book or a collage. Yeah, when they are ready to share what makes them angry, you can come across with, and you can come up with, well, when, and you name your student, when Ramiro feels angry, when Paul feels angry, when Elizabeth feels angry. And so they have their own book, and they see what happens to them and how they are able to redirect. In Sophie's case, she needed to run, she needed to climb up the tree. And so there, when she was like when she could sort of self-regulate, she was ready to go back home. But well, what makes your own students calm down? Yes, what strategies they may have, yeah? And my favorites of all these activities that I am presenting to you is a go to calm corner spot. You have to, if you can, in the classroom, you can provide your students with a calm corner spot. It's better if you do it with a rod and a curtain, so it feels like cozy inside. It's like picture this as if we were turtles, and so we shine our own shells. And so there in the calm corner spot, you can stuff it with cushions, with blankets, with teddies that the students bring from home, with any item, any object that they might need to grab to help them, you know, go back and feel back, you know, within themselves and feel okay. Because even though we may think that, well, they manifested how angry they were, deep down there, remember that there was another feeling hidden. Yeah, and probably those feelings have got more to do with anxiety, with insecurity, with feeling not self, not contained. Yeah, so the calm corner spot is going to provide them with that safety boundaries that they need to experiment and experience. So I like to share with you.
Idea. Yeah.
Thank you. This is the collage that we did in my school. And so we just tell the story to different classes, and they have the different posters. So of course, the posters that are in red is the times when Sophie got really, really angry. And then the ones that are colored on the green cardboard show different strategies. Yeah, their own ideas. These ideas were presented by the students themselves of the different things that Sophie could have done to make herself calm again. Yeah,
That's really sweet. So that they were using their own kind of critical thinking, creativity skills to think of other
exactly.
ways to combat.
It was like, exactly, they were becoming, like we say, problem solvers, yes, gaining agency and autonomy. Yeah, so this is something I forgot to show you before, but it goes in keeping with what she was saying. Yeah, so this is, what's my problem? Yeah, so then you move on to think of different possibles, so inquiry. Yeah, and then you can ask them, yeah, what will happen if you, as I was telling you at the very beginning of today's talk, what will happen if instead of pulling hair, you stick tongue? Well, that would not make your friend happy, yeah, and would not make you happy either. Yeah, so then when you come up with a real good strategy to put into practice, yeah, so you say, give it a try. And the lovely one is, I can be a problem solver. I've used this ring, as you can see, this is all twisted because I've used it many times. I forgot to tell you, I taught at a remedial school, and there we really experimented severe challenging behaviors. So I will move on to the third story, Teresa, but I will do it in the same way as I did before, just to be on the safe side.
You're a fantastic storyteller anyway, Romina, so I'm enjoying listening to the live version.
Okay, so here we go. All right, so this story. Let me get a sip of water.
Yep, there's a quick question about the that you just used. Did you make them? Were they your design?
No, this I can't remember. I took them from a site many years ago, more than 15 years ago, these little cards. So I'm going to look for them. They are on internet, these cards, the same with the color monster wheel and the color monster masks. They are in internet. Then the rest, the Philly book and the tubes, these are all strategies that go along with the story, and I made them myself. But yes, you can get them. I think, if I am not mistaken, this is used with ADD students, and I think it comes with the story, with a little story that is called Tucker Turtle Takes Time to Think. I think that's the name of the story. It's all T's, you know, Tucker Turtle Takes Time to Think. And so maybe if you Google that, you can find this little thing. Yeah.
I'll have a look as well and see if I can find it.
Okay, great, sure. So, well, my third story is the huge bag of worries. So this is more in keeping. So remember that I presented you with two different pictures, the pulling of a hair picture and the other picture of the withdrawn kid in the playground, in the park. So this story has got to do with those scenarios, yeah, that I think that it's like we are more prone to addressing behaviors that are violent. But there are these other silent behaviors that are very challenging in the same way as, you know, the ones that are violent and loud and intrusive. Yeah. So this is the big bag of worries of Jenny. Yes, this is Jenny. See how frightened she looks. Yeah. And so one day, Jenny, let me just open the book. One day, Jenny was at home with her dog. I'm going to not to read it because it's kind of long. I'm going to show you and more or less go along with the reading. She started to feel worried at home about, for instance, her weight, that she was getting fatter. She started to fear that her dog might have fleas. She started to fear that her friends will not going to play with her any longer. She started to fear that her parents might get divorced, that a bomb might explode. So you see how her fears are building up. So she feared so strongly about so many things that one day a huge bag of worries came up in her bedroom. So she did not know what to do with it. So sadly, the bag followed her everywhere. It would follow her everywhere, to the toilet, to school, to swimming classes. She was getting pretty stressed and she did not know what to do. So she thought about talking to her brother, but then she discarded it. She said, no, he won't understand me. So then she thought about talking it over with mom, but mom was probably rather busy. Then she said, I'm going to have it out with my dad. But dad has his own worries, so I might not want to worry him anymore. So one day, look at how big the bag was getting, bigger and bigger. It bothered her. She couldn't sleep at night. So she decided, she had an idea. She was going to hide it. She tried to hide it. So she asked her friend. And so the two of them tried to push the bag of worries, but they were not able. They couldn't succeed. The bag came out all the same. So she was really desperate. And even Luftus was so desperate about the situation that he started to bark at the bag. So one day, Jenny gave in to the bag and she started to cry and cry, many sad tears. And her neighbor came up. And so she told her, oh, Jenny, I see you've got a very big bag of worries. Let's cut them out. And so Jenny was so scared, so afraid. She says, no, don't open the bag. I don't want to see my worries. And so the old lady said something very wise that you can read on the screen. There is nothing a worry hates more than being seen. And so the old lady pulled out her worries one at a time and sorted them out. And she said, okay, these worries are not yours. Some are mom's, some are dad's, some are your friends. Some worries everybody has, so that's okay. And so, as the worries were sorted out, they said bye-bye to the bag and off it went. All right. So I hope you like the story. Yeah.
That
So
was lovely.
yeah. So Jenny, and as I tell when I do this with teachers in the same way that I am doing this here now at the Hub, this is a story for all ages. I think it's like a story. If you tell the story without showing the pictures, you can tell this story to secondary school students in the same way. Yeah. So as you could, anxiety was, I mean, she was able to channel it out through crying. Yeah. So when she cried, that's the moment when the behavior was being manifested. Yeah. So strategies to deal with worry or with anxiety. As you could see in the story, an adult came and approached the child. The child was not able to go to the adult, was not able to seek the adult. So in this way, you're able to see that when you sense that there are certain things going on with some students, you have to approach the child, the student, and offer your help. Yeah, because with anxiety, this is one feeling that it's flipping in, you know, the student is holding it in, so it's very difficult to put their worries into words. Yeah, so as it is so difficult for them, maybe what you can ask them when you see someone is like worried or anxious about something, one good alternative, one good prompt is to move, to dance, to jump, to run. Yeah, another strategy you come up with is draw it. Draw how your fear looks like. So it's out there. Yeah, it's no longer inside you. So it's out there, you're drawing it. And another I love is to do the balloons. So the balloons, yeah, as you can see here, the different balloons. So you give your students a balloon and they stuff it with worries they may have. If they, depending their ages, they write about what they worry about, or they can draw what they worry about. So they stuff it in the balloon, inside the balloon, and they blow up the balloon, and all together at the same time, you burst the balloons. It's gonna be much fun, and they are going to see how all the worries start flying and spread in the classroom. Yeah. One thing you have to ask your students is if they feel scared when the balloon bursts, because some students might get, you know, might frightened. So maybe what you can do is try a different alternative. Yeah. Stuff a jar or a box, and then you turn it upside down and you scatter it all around. Yeah. But the balloon is great. It's really, really fun.
That's lovely. I would definitely not do the balloons. I hate the balloons.
Yeah, when they explode.
This story, it made me think of when I was younger. My aunt bought me some from some worry dolls. I think they were from
Wow.
America somewhere, and it came with this little slip of paper that you told. So it was like 10 little dolls in a box, and the idea was that if you were worried about something, you told one of the dolls, like you whispered it to one of the dolls, and then you put that doll back in the box so that they could all
Wow.
work together to try and solve your problem. It's really
Oh, that's
sweet when you're
lovely.
in your
That's
little.
lovely. Exactly, exactly. Because once they're ready to put it in words or to put it in a picture or to write it, yes, or to dance it out, the thing is that you are channeling it out, because up to the, I mean, the first part of the story, or the story can be divided into two parts. When she was holding it so much inside herself, yeah, she was not able to share it, she was not able to show it. So that's why I think this a very powerful line, there is nothing worry hates more than being. So another strategy I use, and I want all, yes, have it there in your mind, picture worry, hold it tight, and you're holding your worry. So at the same time, you're going to name 5 things you can see: window, doors, my books, 4 things you can touch, nose, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. So now you tell me, what were you worrying about?
This is really interesting. Oh, I don't know if you've frozen. We had someone a few years ago who had a panic attack at the school. And afterwards, we were told that this was a good strategy or a strategy that might help if someone is having a panic attack. You know, you get them to ground themselves in what
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Because anxiety issues deal with the future. I mean, we are always anxious and we worry about what might happen. So we're not anchored in this moment. So it's like a way to bring them back, help them see that what they are worrying about has not taken place. Yeah. So it's something that is reflecting the present moment. Yeah. Yeah. It works. It's very effective because you can picture this idea of the time, yeah, to deal with the time, to deal with the future. The future is uncertain for all of us. Yeah, so we, and I believe that the COVID has come to this world to make us, you know, become aware of how uncertain the future might be. Yeah, and that we cannot handle all the variables. Yeah. And well, just to be on the safe side, I am about to share the last story. So the last story is a very, this is another collage I did, yeah, with a huge bag of worries. And some of the students were able to put their pictures, their photographs, yeah, and they decorated with their different worries. And so the last story is The Knight and the Dragon. It's a very stereotypical story for this time, yes, for this century, a knight and a dragon and a princess, but works wonders when it comes to addressing violence, yeah? So, before we jump onto the activities, I'm going to introduce you to The Knight and the Dragon that was written by Tommy Di Paola. I think the story belongs to the 1970s or the 1980s. So it's an oldie, really oldie. So the thing with the knight and the dragon, they were not friends at all. And so I think they hated each other, yeah? And so they wanted to fight each other, yeah? And so what they did, they went to the library to get equipped with different books about fighting. So of course, the knights found a book to see how to fight a dragon. And the dragon found a book to see how to fight a knight. And so they got ready. They did the different things they needed, what it took to be able to fight bravely and courageously. So look at the dragon swishing its tail, trying his different moves. And the knight preparing his armor and all his tools to fight the dragon. So the dragon looked and he put his most fearsome face and he swished his tail and blow fire till the day, and they envisioned the fight. So you see how they picture themselves, how they came victorious after fighting. And so the day came, they sent each other a letter, and they decided, so they sent each other the letter, and they decided on the day and the time and the place for the fight. And so the fight took place. Yeah. And they fought each other. And with their strongest tools and weapons. And this is how they ended. None of them was victorious. So the princess came. Can you see her? Yes. So she came and she said, look at you. You are going to get a book and know about how to cook, because with all your fire you can blow, you can cook tons of food. And you, knight, I see that you're very skillful at building, so you're gonna build your own restaurant. I think that the princess was kind of a manager, you know? She was like distributing the tasks, yeah, division of labor. And so they just shared a business together, the B&B barbecue, yeah, of the knight and the dragon. So, well, this is a lovely story. You can find me in YouTube, and you will be able to listen to the story, because there are, I just included the sounds of the battles, so it's very funny. So, well, coming back to the flip, to the strategies, to behavior. So in the story, as you can see, till the knight and the dragon got to the fight, there were several steps. There were different ranks. Yeah, they went to the library, they practiced their moves, they built their armor. And so everything went escalating, you know, till they sent each other the letter and they decided to fight. So the idea is that you are going to help, this story is going to help your students identify behaviors that contribute to conflict escalation. It's like you don't get mad from one minute to the other. There are several things going on that will send you up the ladder. Yeah. So a great thing is to map the problems in the conflict escalator. So what I did with the story, you make photocopies and you have them, you know, the different stages in the conflict escalation. And so you ask your students to put them, yeah, to map them in the ladder and see, yes, they are able to see how conflict, yes, how they went, how conflict built up, yes, and how the dragon and the knight reached the top, yeah, where there was like no going back and they needed to fight, yeah. So the idea is that you're going to help your students intervene those moments before they reach to the top of the escalator, yeah, when they can climb back down, yeah. So in the story, for these funny things I create, and then I forgot to click at the right time. So in the story, you were also able to identify a strategy to help the knight and the dragon de-escalate. Yeah. So the strategy that was used was someone was a peace offerer. Yeah, the princess or the manager, as I call it for the adult students. Yeah, the manager came and she intervened and she said, okay, you two, you go build a restaurant and you just get trained and see ways different, become a cook. Yeah, so that was a peace offer. Yeah, but there can be other strategies. Yeah, there can be other strategies. They could have just, you know, just say sorry. Yes, have verbally express how sorry they felt for what they did. Yeah, so the idea is that you inquiry with your own students. Yeah, they just provide you with different solutions or with different alternatives. And when you see that their solutions and alternatives are sensible, yeah, enough, that can be put into practice, well, you help them practice them. So again, in the same way as we worked with the other stories, you can also have them write their own books instead of the knight and the dragon. Yeah, with a princess, you can have different characters. Yeah, you can. One thing they love is that the knight fights the princess. Yeah, and the dragon is the peace offerer. Yeah, or the other way about. Yeah, but the idea is that they can experiment and see what it feels like to be in the different situations. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, that's lovely. Yeah, putting them into the different characters' shoes is a great idea. The story was
yes, yeah, definitely, because sometimes this is very funny when you work with little children, the ones that are, for instance, the ones that are not aggressive or violent, and at times they need to experiment. Yeah, they want to see how it feels like if I get into a fight. Yeah, or the other way about, the ones that are, that are, I don't know what you call it, but the ones that react very quickly. Yeah, the ones that are very impulsive. Okay, let's try and see what it feels like. Can you be a peace offerer? Look, you were able to, you could. So that's, very encouraging for the student, for the kids. Yeah. And when we open this meeting today, Teresa, the idea is that we are not only teaching a story, the language in the story, the English in the story, but we're also teaching emotional literacy and lifelong skills. Yeah, skills for life. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, all the different emotions that you've talked about and the strategies for dealing with them. It's not only issues that the students might have in their English classes, it's their families, at school, in their other classes, when they're just with their friends. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, they replicate. Exactly. They replicate in different scenarios, at different moments, in different situations. So stories transform challenging behavior because kids replicate with story characters and events, which was we just discussed. Because kids get emotionally involved in the story and they're able to release hidden emotions. And because they gain insight and they recognize themselves and others in the story. Yeah, this is very funny. If you ask them, they can ask you, okay, who's gonna be knight, who's gonna be dragon, and who's gonna be peace offerer? It's super interesting to see how they know, how each of them, who could be like the most suitable candidate for the dragon role, or for the knight role, or for the princess role. So there we are working at, emotional literacy level. And when I was doing this, I thought about Harry Waters from the Hub, because I know that Harry is very much into these environmental issues. And I know they have the 5 R's, recycling. And so when I was doing this, I thought this reminded me of Harry. Well, in connection with this field, I took this from Dr. Claude Steiner. He was he was born in France, but then he moved to America, where he lived most of his life, and he was a psychotherapist. And so he wrote about many different issues, and basically he was like let's say the founder, the discoverer, I don't know how to put it, of emotional literacy. And as I think that this idea of working with the 5 R's will help us, this I cannot remember the word, when you just connect the letter with method or with the strategy. There is a word for that, I can't remember. But well, the 5 R's are: we respond to feelings, we can recognize triggers. So maybe a trigger in the story with Sophie was that a trigger could be that Sophie was not ready to let go. Yeah, to let her, to share Gorilla with her sister. So that was a trigger. She was playing and she couldn't let Gorilla go. Yeah. Then we're able to repair damage. We release emotions in a safely way. And so we're able to redirect behavior. So going back to the beginning, at the flip moment we had that I told you, well, feelings are okay. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel anxious, to feel worried, to feel happy, to feel excited, to feel joyful. I mean, feelings are okay. Yeah. But those that are harming or hurting others or students themselves, well, those are the ones that we need to redirect. Yeah. So we need to redirect. All right, it's okay. You feel angry, you feel sad. Instead of pushing or pulling hair or shouting, what else can we do? Yeah. So that's the idea, yeah, behind this webinar, this live Facebook live.
That was fantastic. Yeah. Karen says maybe a mnemonic for the
Mnemonic, that's the word. Thank you. That's the word I was desperately looking for. Yeah, totally. Mnemonic.
And also, could you share with me your YouTube channel afterwards, and I'll add it.
Yeah.
Request.
Yeah,
to
sure,
watch it in action again.
Yes, I know it's Romina M, but I'll give you the link so that it's easier. Yeah, because I have uploaded many stories there. So, well, the world of stories, I think this woman, Vivian Paley, an American teacher, she died 2 years ago. You can find tons of things about Vivian on the internet. You can Google her, YouTube her. Vivian worked with stories, with little children and with stories in particular, because she believed that the stories were the moment of pretend. Yeah, in the stories there is pretend. And so pretend is the child's real and serious world, the stage upon which any identity is possible and secret thoughts can be safely revealed. So when I was speaking about maybe do not ask the student to come up directly with a book about when Matthew feels angry. Yeah, go to when Sophie feels angry and see what Matthew can bring. And Matthew is going to bring his world into the story. Yeah, but safely, like secretly, yeah, without feeling exposed. All right. And so before we come to wrap, well, this is just a spot I have in the Institute. Sometimes when I tell stories.
Your slides haven't changed. We're still on the 5 R's.
Oh, so sorry for that.
Tech moment, never mind.
Yeah, tech moment, exactly. Let's stop. I'm gonna stop and share again.
Because when you mentioned the person's name, I thought, oh,
okay, all right.
Slide, but
let's go back to. All right, so here we go.
Very pretty. Fairy lights, like some fairy lights.
All right, how about now?
Yep, we've got the fairy lights in now.
Good. All right, so I'm going to just show you the previous one. Yeah. So when I was speaking about Vivian Paley and to work, you know, at pretend level. Yeah. So that the child feels safe, secure, contained. Yeah. Like his secret thoughts. Yeah. Won't be revealed. And if they are revealed, they are safely revealed. Yeah. So that's the idea behind. So now can you see my spot with the stories?
Yep, perfect.
Yeah. Okay, great. All right, and this, before we come to a wrap, I will ask all the hubbers to see if you can come up. As you can see on the screen, there is a black line at the bottom, and there are 3 pictures, starting with the picture of the book, the skate, and the kids in the classroom. So I want you to think about what each of these pictures, there is a word for each of this picture behind. And that's going to be the hidden message to round off this webinar.
Excellent. Well, whilst people are thinking, there's been a couple of questions. Oh, quite an interesting question. How do you approach challenging behaviors when it comes up in the group? Sometimes it doesn't feel appropriate to discuss in front of others, but obviously you need to address them.
Yes, totally, totally. What it's not okay is to address it in a way that when you're not going to be putting the limit there or the inquiry or the prompt. The only thing you do is you come closer to the child who's showing or manifesting a challenging behavior. So you look at the child in their eye and you tell them, it's okay, I see you mad. In a very kind of, calm voice, you are, try to do not feel scared or threatened. Yes, you are in control. You are the teacher. You are the adult. Yeah, so you approach in a very gentle way with a very soft voice and you say, I see you very, very angry. Yeah, and you show your empathy. Yeah, show them that you're not judging them. Yeah, so that's why it's super important. I believe this question is very interesting, and it's super important that you practice challenging behavior with your students. Practice with them, yeah, like a pretend, like Vivian Paley was saying, well, pretend they are angry, yeah, so that the feeling, that does not come unexpected, even for them, yeah, even for the challenging student, yeah. And then, as this person has just asked, you can have a conversation in private, but when anger has receded, yeah, when they are able to retrieve back from anger, yeah, and there is the time to have a conversation, but of course in private, not to have an open discussion. The open discussion is to speak about Sophie's anger. Yeah, Sophie is the one that is exposing herself, not the student.
That's lovely.
So the character in the book, basically, yeah.
And we've had some guesses. Stories flip behavior.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's the idea. Yeah, totally. That was a very quick guess. Yeah. So I was thinking we're working at semiotics here. Yeah, with language, we made meaning. And the most important thing for me is that you have all made meaning. And so, well, again, I'd like to thank you, Teresa, Simon, all the Hubbers, all the people who join us today. I feel really, really honored. Yes, it's an honor to bring you my challenging stories to transform challenging behavior, to share it. You're very, very generous. Really, really generous.
Honestly, it was an honor to have you. I mean, you like providing us with not only stories that we can work with, but then ideas for what to do afterwards to help our students to manage their feelings, their emotions, their behavior. It was really fantastic. Yep. There was another quick question. How do you work with this? How do you present the stories? So
yeah, well, how do I go about stories, let's say? Well, that's another good question. Well, it depends on the class. Generally, what I do is what I did when I was a very fresh educator. I remember I came to class with the story. I wanted to have circle time. I sort of dreamed about something that never took place in the end. So you have to prepare them for stories. Yeah. So maybe a way to prepare students with the story is, for instance, to ask them to bring a cushion from home. And so that when it's cushion time, they just connect that it is story time. Yeah. Have in mind that if you work with very little children, you might not be able to tell the story in one go because they will be interrupting. Because why is it that they will be interrupting? Because they are seeing themselves reflected in the story. So they will probably want to, tell you directly, oh, no, that's wrong. Why is Sophia hitting the sister? Why is she not letting Gorilla go? Yeah. So be ready to have, maybe to need to tell the story at many different times and occasions. Depending on the size of your classes, you can have the story, you can tell the story and tell it in different groups. Yeah, so there's the possibility of having the class being divided and being given different tasks so that you can tell the story to a group of, say, 3-4 students. Yeah, and then you move on and you tell the story to another set of students. Yeah, and so and all these things what you can do, you can have like a pre-reading activities when you can anticipate, yeah, the story. And so you can ask them, for example, draw a picture where you are happy, or draw yourselves in a kind of scary situation, right? So that then it's like, children love to anticipate because they feel secure when they can anticipate. Yeah, they do not feel anxious. When they cannot anticipate, they feel really, really anxious. So the more they can anticipate, the safer they feel.
Lovely. Lovely.
And that QR code, Teresa, that QR code is my Facebook. So
the slide hasn't swapped again. It must be something when we have moving images.
oh, so let's see. It's the last one, so that's going to be very quick. Yeah, it's very strange. You know, then I'll tell you something. I don't know, but it's happened with, it has already happened, let's say. But when I present this outside in the world, when I want to share it with the world, let's say, and now you're able to see?
Mm-hmm. Now we can see it.
Okay, so there it was just
and I'll share the links when I do the notes as well. I'll share links to the pages as well.
I want to see what my pointer is. That's very funny. Okay, well, I can't find my pointer. So, well, you know what? This is, I need to deal with anxiety. So I am at the F moment now. I am at the F, you know, feeling really anxious. Okay.
Oh no, don't feel anxious. No.
No. Just kidding. But yeah, it's very funny. I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, it's typical because we checked it before we started.
Yeah.
Obviously something with when it's live streaming, or yeah, who knows? But
yeah, who knows exactly. Yeah, and it's got to do with Zoom, I think. You know why? Because I was able now to reduce the size of the, you know, the panel, the video panel. I was able to reduce it, but I cannot move it from, you know, from there. I don't know. Very, very funny.
Never mind.
Funny thing about Facebook. Okay.
Yeah. But honestly, Romina, thank you so much for coming along. There have been some lovely thank you messages. And also from one of your friends who said that it was lovely to watch you doing what you're passionate about.
Oh, that's very nice.
And it does, it shows through your passion for working with young learners, for working with emotions, for stories. It was a thoroughly enjoyable webinar, and I've got a big smile on my face because I loved all the stories.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes, I wanted, you know, to share, you know, that you take away with you strategies, ideas, alternative stories. Yeah, remember that these guys, I mean, I just picked 4 stories because these stories are the ones that work with my students. But any story, you can adapt any story, and you can adapt any of the activities that I present to you to the stories that you like and to the stories you know your students like.
Exactly. What you were saying as well about adapting them to different age groups. You know, you don't have to work with the picture book, but the idea behind the story can work with teenagers and with adults as well.
Definitely. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much again, and thank you very much everyone who's joined us live today. As I said before, if you were watching us afterwards, leave a little hashtag catch up, and we'll be back in another couple of weeks. We're back on the 12th of August with the next webinar, when we'll be looking at using poetry in the classroom. So we're going
Wow,
for poetry.
that's very interesting. I'll be there.
Fantastic. Excellent. Enjoy your day, everyone, and have a good weekend.
Bye-bye. Thank
Bye.
you.